Do a quick check-in before the polls start to close in other parts of the country.
The balance of power is in question tonight in Washington, D.C. We'll get to that in just a minute. But first, let's get a look at some of the big local races that we've been following. The most expensive U.S. Senate race in Washington state history will be decided. Republican newcomer Tiffany Smiley has been everywhere in the recent weeks, hoping for a seat in the U.S. Senate. She'd have to defeat incumbent Senator Patty Murray, who has been in office for 30 years.
An average of polls in this race show the margin narrowing significantly over the last few weeks. With control of the Senate at stake, a lot of eyes will be on this race tonight. For the first time in 16 years, there will be a new sheriff in town. Ozzie Knezovich did not run for re-election, and these two sheriff's deputies are running, John Knowles and Wade Nelson. We'll soon find out who will take over as Spokane's top cop. Washington is a vote-by-mail state, and some people waited until the last minute today to either mail their ballots or drop them off in person. And that means we may not know who won some of those races tonight. Emily Bloom is live at the Spokane County Elections Office this evening, where it's been busy all day and will be even busier later tonight. Emily.
Yeah, Kirsten, I'm told that they have had lines here since they opened their doors at 7 a.m. this morning. Now, if you are headed out to the elections office or to any of the drop boxes this evening, the earlier you go, the better. Now, if you're using a drop box, make sure it's well before 8 p.m. They are hearing of long lines out of the drop boxes, and if you get in line 1 minute past 8 p.m., you won't be able to cast your ballot. For those of you questioning the district races on the ballots, they changed the redistricting commission this year.
So there's now 5 county commissioner districts that will take effect at the first of the year. Currently, you're still represented by 3 county commissioner districts. The same is for the ledge districts.
Then the security envelope goes inside.
They redrew the district lines, and most of the unincorporated areas south of Liberty Lake, Spokane Valley, and the city of Spokane use in a different district. They are now in the 9th district. You'll be voting on who will represent you in the future. And as for our security, so far, so good. SPD is on high alert, checking in on election drop boxes and the election offices throughout the day. And we have much more to cover today to help you get your ballot in on time. We'll be going over construction here at the elections office, plus some libraries that are closed. We'll be talking about that tonight on a special edition of 4 News Now at 4 p.m. election coverage. Reporting live at the elections office, I'm Emily Bloom, 4 News Now.
Emily, thank you. And if the ads and text messages were any indication, candidates are counting on you to get out and vote. Spokane County expected 6,000 ballots to come in Monday morning, but that prediction fell short. They expect a surge of ballots by today's deadline, 100,000 ballots in Spokane County over the next 3 days. 212 election observers plan to watch the process at some point in Spokane County, more than in previous years, and you can still drop off those ballots in Washington tonight. If you need to know where, or if you have questions overall about the voting process, we have a complete For the People election guide on our website, KXLY.com.
Our For the People election coverage started months ago, interviewing candidates and outlining the issues that matter to you. Idaho voters will pick a governor tonight, and they had quite a few candidates to pick from. There are 5 people on the ballot for governor, with incumbent Republican Brad Little and Democrat Stephen Hite getting the most votes in the primary election. Idaho voters have a lot to decide on today, and most will go to a polling place to do that. We sent Peter Choi to North Idaho today to see how things are going and what we can expect tonight. Peter.
Yeah, that's right. I'm here at the Post Falls Senior Center, which is one of the polling centers in Kootenai County. Now, the polls open at 8 a.m. this morning. Now, you can actually see people waiting right there to cast their ballots. Now, the cold weather condition didn't really stop these people to cast their ballots. Now, I talked to elections officials on Monday. They said they're expecting higher voter turnout compared to the last midterm election in 2018. Now, polling places in Kootenai County might get more crowded this year. Now, poll workers say the voting center has been busier than the past elections.
I would say this is comparable to a presidential election, maybe a little bit busier. The midterm, it's a little bit
Now, of course, a lot of people have already voted at early voting locations or filled out absentee ballots. Now, if you have requested absentee ballots and you haven't returned them yet, elections officials saying to make sure to bring them directly to the Kootenai County Elections Office in Coeur d'Alene. Now, polls close at 8 p.m. tonight, so if you haven't come out to vote yet, you still have some time to do so. Now, the poll workers say you can also register as a voter here, so make sure to bring ID with you. Live in Kootenai County, Peter Choi, 4 News Now.
Peter, thank you. The issue of how to handle growth is on the ballot in one part of Kootenai County today. Voters in Hayden will decide if they want to increase homeowners' annual taxes to pay for public safety. The area has seen a huge population boom in recent years, and those backing the public safety levy say they need more deputies to keep up with calls for service. It is a vote for or against tonight. If it passes, it would cost voters an extra $16.22 per $100,000 of value and increases the city's overall budget by $500,000. Nationwide, the battle for control in Washington, D.C. is at stake tonight.
Political experts believe Republicans will gain control of the House of Representatives tonight. The Senate, meantime, is deadlocked, with Vice President Kamala Harris breaking the tie for Democrats. Winning just one Senate seat could flip control tonight. Isabel Rosales continues our For the People coverage on the races to watch tonight.
Voters making their voices heard by the tens of millions. Polls nearing their final hours across the country. Top of mind?
The economy is definitely a big one.
What's really important to me is basic human rights and how our government is protecting them.
Candidates themselves hitting the polls and greeting voters. The stakes couldn't be higher for both parties.
Whenever you look at the Senate, I agree it's going to be close. Everybody has to get out and vote and participate this election cycle because of the importance of it.
My goodness, 2022 is perhaps the most important election of our lifetimes.
Republicans just 5 seats away from a House majority. And it may come down to a handful of battleground states to decide the future of the Senate. The GOP just 1 seat away from flipping control. And the potential next House Speaker already laying out next steps.
I think the first thing you'll see is a bill to control the border. First thing we're going to do is make sure an economy that's strong.
Looming in the background, contentious court fights with more than 100 lawsuits filed pre-election, many in battleground states.
And that was Isabel Rosales reporting. With election security on many people's minds, 12 states have National Guard troops on hand to provide cyber support today. The Department of Defense says 90 guardsmen were called up, including in Washington. They'll focus on things like network assistance and risk mitigation. It's not the first time the National Guard provided this support to 8 states in May and June primaries this year.
Take a look. This is installation outside the U.S. Supreme Court. It was a call to action for voters who want to ensure women's rights this election. Artist Maggie O'Neill put up 51 life-size statues in an exhibit she calls Vote for Your Daughter. It was up for a few hours Monday. The artist hopes to eventually display it in all 50 states. Voice of America says 35% more women registered to vote in this election from the 10 states that share that information.
Republicans only need to net 5 seats to win back control of the U.S. House of Representatives.
And that includes holding on to 2 seats here in eastern Washington. Incumbent Cathy McMorris Rodgers could win her 10th term in the House. She faces Democrat challenger Natasha Hill. McMorris Rodgers beat Hill by more than 20 percentage points in the August primary.
Republican Dan Newhouse represents the most conservative district in the state, the 4th, and he and Democrat challenger Doug White were nearly neck and neck in the primary, but there were 2 other Republicans in the race, so most political watchers don't think his seat is in jeopardy. Newhouse faces some criticism, or faced it rather, early on as one of the few Republicans to vote to impeach Trump in 2021.
A busy day in Washington, Idaho, and around the country, and we're tracking it all for you all day and tonight.
Here's a look at our website right now. KXLY.com is now your go-to place to keep track of what's happening locally and nationally. We have in-depth stories for you, and we'll continue to track those results as they come in. We're making it easy to find and follow election results. Take a look at your screen. So if you point your phone at the screen right now, capture this QR code and it will take you right to our homepage for all of your election results as they come in. Some races are coming in just after 8 p.m. Others, especially in Idaho, could take a little longer. But this QR code will take you straight to the results.
From morning to night side, we have For the People coverage on Election Day. It started early this morning with Good Morning Northwest anchors Derek Dice and Robin Nance on TV and streaming on KXLY+. We'll be with you through prime time with ABC's coverage of the national races and local coverage on 4 News Now. On TV, streaming on KXLY+, and on KXLY.com. We are your go-to source on Election Day. To catch up on everything that's happening around the country, watch a special edition of World News with David Muir. That's at 3:30.
And you can watch a full hour of 4 News Now from 4 to 5, leading into ABC's primetime coverage on election night. If you're on the go tonight, remember you can get live updates and streaming video on KXLY.com and our KXLY News app. We will see you on TV starting at 4 o'clock.